Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to the Ireland Esports Collegiate Series Grand Finals. This is the accumulation of all the work of the last few weeks piled up for the League of Legends sections. I am Sandbag. Joining me, Zathos. How are we doing on this one, boss?
I'm doing good. Got myself a new computer, but mostly I am hyped for QUB versus UCD. Because Sandbag, guess what? I'm coming over towards Ireland for the grand final. So whoever wins here today, you'll get to see me in person. I'm hyped. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. Should be a good one. Two teams representing north and mid of the country. University College Dublin taking on Queen's University Belfast. Very familiar faces who made it into this finals, right? These are players and teams, orgs, branding who have been here multiple times before. A lot of names that you might recognize, a couple sprinkled in here or there with the changes, but we've seen them before, and it's looking for a best of three series in Fearless as we've been playing through the rest of the season. So you're the one with the plan here. What are we expecting on this one in this first of three?
Well, there's a lot of different champions that both of these teams can play, especially on the side of QUB. Before this, we weren't even sure he was going to be on the team, but Totsi is going to be replaced by one of the other members as the AD carry. But the champions I'm super excited for is we get to see a Carly's most likely today. We get to see a Bessa Jungles and maybe even Joe Fish famous Amumu. Now, Sandbag, that champion doesn't seem the best, but you love him. He will most
I do
likely
love
get
it.
done.
However, I there is going to be some PayPaling involved if he gets a Mumu. There is one champion that everyone knows he will be playing if he gets his opportunity to. So your options are A, have a counter pick ready. I'm looking at you, Emilio. Or B, just ban it. Just don't give him comfort, especially early on in the series as we go live on draft. Kicking things off. QUB actually elected for the red side. They want that R5 counter pick, playing up towards sweeper perhaps, and I expect to see it knocked off the table here soon.
Yeah, and I mentioned beforehand how UCD love that and better pick if they want to pick it up early on the red side. They can always flex it until that last pick to give jungle and top lane a decent matchup. But these bans make a lot of sense. Totsi very known for these hyper carries. You got the Jinx, you got the Sivers, two very much bread and butter. While on the opposite side of UCD, they like to play range in the bot lane. They like the Caitlyn's, they like the Sennas, and that Seraphine as well. Their full team comp is built about this wombo combo with a very poke heavy bot side and a very aggressive mid jungle.
Absolutely. Bot lane becomes that playing space, right? As you said, Sarah's, Senna's, anything that can play that range, provide the artillery that you needed. Well, the melee mid and the melee jungle want to be within about 2 feet maximum ever in just swinging hands flying.
Range does help. It does especially help when a Mumu's banned, so he can't just flash ult onto your face, something you're very famous for in our, let's say, scrims whenever we play against each other. I cannot play the video game against that champion, so thank you, the opposite side of UCD, for banning that one away. But most likely for QUB, when I'm thinking about these first picks, I'm still thinking about those major AD carries. Ezreal is very high for me, maybe even that Sivir, but they also are good at that Orianna J4 combo, which has helped them get towards this final.
Also worth calling out Varus in both pools. A champion who feels like you can play him in one of 7 different ways. Is it AD, AP, lethality, on hit, crit, whatever you want? Tank probably still worked once upon a time. Yep. Orianna will be broken up with the combination of the J4 that you said. So the homework has been done. And right now, these two teams both passing, they've done their homework. They got their assignment in on time. Life is good.
Yeah, my biggest curiosity is why CUD banned away the Orianna. They wanted to save it for that second round rotation, or sorry, for the second game. That could be the case if they want to play something that's hard to play in this early game. But Jin makes a lot of sense, or they could steal away the Mbessa. I mentioned before how the side of UCD love this champion. You take it away, don't give the flexibility. Both champions make a lot of sense, but for me, Mbessa makes the most.
I'd agree. Jin gets very scary, just blue wanting him, where all of a sudden you're into 2 or 3 melees and you just don't have the grunt.
Or just Malphite.
I was going to say, to get through stuff like the Malphites and the Gallios that seem to be running around these days. Mbessa makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, especially when we played in solo queue before. My Jin, I may not be as good as these players, but he felt hella useless if he isn't into the right team comp. Of course, and better flexible towards mid, jungle, and top lanes, and nothing on UCD has shown their cards. On the opposite side of UCD, they need to. Xin Zhao, a good matchup in towards the Mbessa. Of course, you've got the Crescent Guard stopping a lot of the damage. And the reason this champion is so good with how UCD like to play is if you want this high range, you could use that ultimate to just create space, allow them to play it, and of course, knock them up for a big combo with your team.
Coupling that up with the Lulu, this is very familiar ground, right? Zhao dives in, pops the Crescent Guard, gets the Wild Growth, so not only is he immune to damage himself, but he's also able to get the lockdown just straight up front to back. QUB on the right-hand side, they're slowly starting to assemble their team in what is very familiar territory for them.
Yeah, and I think Civ is a really good champion towards the Xin Zhao and Lulu because you just scale absolutely incredibly into the game. My only big concern is the early game threat if they want to lock this in, because most likely with the Lulu, you like a Yanara. Some other champions they like is the Ashe, maybe even the Caitlyn that was banned away. These champions have very good early games. Of course, Senna doesn't. And with that early game, they can get these early dragons and be super aggressive. So for UCD, I'd love a very strong bot lane matchup with it, or instead, maybe even the Siren in the top lane just to make your late game presence absolutely incredible.
Yep, trying to find that final pick here. 3 seconds left. Can go any which way that you want. The Sona lock in. Bot lane has decided we'll see you at maybe third Drake of the game, right? Civ or Sona. You're pushing waves, you're clearing them out, and you're trying to pick up CS. That's really what you're looking for.
Yeah, and it seems like UCD has decided QUB, okay, you have a very strong late game, we have an even better one. So it's this weird position where UCD built themselves saying, okay, we're going to be better in the late game. We can just kind of sit back. But with that Sivir being slightly better than Yunara in the late game, having, of course, one of the best enchanter supports in the game, better than Lulu in the late game, now it kind of puts UCD in a position where they don't actively have to try anything. They just have a mid laner who can clear waves as well, give up the first couple dragons, and then a very solid position.
As we see this next set of bans start to trickle on through, it is the Galio. QUB have banned out on the opposite side. UCD answering with a Cully. So a couple of mid pinches here, as you called out, trying to slowly whittle down those really like fist fight heavy melee mids.
And you can see importantly what both sides are thinking each other want to do. UCD are saying you want a mid laner that's aggressive and most importantly AP. Both of these two teams don't have any real AP threats. The only ones in top lane that work is a Rumble, a Mordekaiser, and both champs are very much, or both teams are not very much known for playing these two. So again, those mid bans make a lot of sense. One thing is I have seen the mid laner of QUB pick up the Irelia. That is something that could be spicy in this game, but most likely I'm expecting maybe an Ari or something out that is just these team fight threats.
Yeah, considering the AP damage present is a Glitter Lance, that's the most damaging AP ability. They maybe need something on that front as the final
Could be
ban for you.
Silas. I'm
Final
thinking
ban.
Silas maybe for QUB.
So we have ourselves. We will see if that's a spectate or if that's just a straight up misband. A little bit of an oops. We'll get an update for you on that one. And where to from here becomes the question.
Well, the reason I'm thinking about the Silas is because you're able to have the Lulu wild growth on top of it, but instead they will be picking up the Ari like I mentioned. Of course, it was an Aurora ban on the side of UCD, the one that we did not see. And with Ari locked in, there's quite a few different champs you could pick into it. Is going to opt for that Syndra. Amazing scatter the weak, of course, can keep people away, gives yourself some more defensive tools. Now with this Ambessa, I would love for it to go towards the jungle and pick up just a super beefy top laner like that side I mentioned earlier.
I was gonna say Scion feels like the sensible choice here. You're never gonna be mad about having a giant meatball up in the top side. Orange kind of fallen out of favor. Galio has already been banned out. Scion feels like next in line, and UCD agreeing with the analysis, locking that one in.
Yeah, they got Mundo, Renekton, plenty of different champions decided UCD. QB, they have a few different options. They want somebody who can be that meatball frontliner again. I think if you had Gragas in your arsenal, it could be absolutely incredible. You have 3 champions on the enemy team that are just immobile. Get them in towards them with a lot of thinking, though. I think you just go for maybe the Mundo. That might be the best option here, just to have some tankiness. We'll just have to see.
Sweeper opting, very last moment there, using the full elapsing of the time. Renekton pick. If you had to simply name a character who plays that role for QUB, I feel like you'd end up with the red side team comp. Like, just name a top laner. I don't know, Renekton. Name a support, Lulu. Like, you just kind of end up with just a straight up reasonable draft.
And it's an awkward game you can see for the top lane of QUB because he could have picked someone to absolutely dominate the Sion. Something like an Aatrox can do super well. But once you get in towards these team fights, one scattered a week, you try and hit a Q and Sivir just runs away, it starts becoming super awkward. So at least Renekton has that absolute lockdown CC. Lulu on top Zings out. Even the Ari, they've given themselves a lot of pick potential, especially with the Syndra and Sivir, who don't have that many escape tools. So QUB have very much said, yes, we know we can't scale as well as you, but at least we can team fight in that mid game exceptionally well. So what I'm wanting to see from QUB is just focus around these dragons and find yourself a lead. While on the side of UCD, they have amazing wave clear. Just focus on clearing these waves and letting your Mbessa just farm up as much as possible, because at that level 2 mark, or sorry, 2 items, she can actually become a major threat in these sort of skirmishes.
Absolutely. UCD is looking to just play it slow, right? As you said at the very beginning, you're willing to give up some Drakes, you're willing to give up some pressure. You know what? 10 CS lead, a plate, go crazy, have fun. We're going to turn up to the team fight with outrageous amounts of late game potential. As long as you don't end up in that sole point territory, that's where it gets a little sticky. If you're able to just give, a Drake, maybe get a grub or two, get whatever you can, and then just turn up to those team fights. All you got to do is make sure that Sona doesn't get picked. Because you were saying, right, immobile carries. Syndra still has scatter. Sivir still has spell shield and about 1 million move speed to work with. Sona's got crescendo, which is, that's about all that you have. Renekton, Ahri, pick potential is there. Sona needs to stay safe. She needs to be protected. You have tools to do that, absolutely. But if she falls, this whole team fight cracks.
Yeah. Or if Sion walks into 5 members, the team fight won't crack because he is just damn tanky. Now, with both of these teams, I'm super excited to mostly mention the Ari, the player for QUB, as his champ pool is absolutely ridiculous. Some of the champions that he has there can just absolutely dominate these team fights. One of them you saw banned away is that Akali. And a big thing about this team is their explosiveness in the mid lane. So I want to see if he's able to find himself a lead, but more importantly, he will have roam potential at level 9. Can he roam around the map, make these plays, find those outplays? Because I think the main focus is push out mid lane, push out bot lane, and try and look for that tower dive. Get this Sona where she can't play the game.
Be wondering for, yes, we did get right at long last answering our plea that we do not have to go through the spectator delay to get everything synced up. However, client is still League of Legends client, and that is still a 12-year-old piece of software. So UCD currently having a couple of connection issues. We will update you as we get a little bit more info. And right, we've got at bare minimum a pair of games to be played, maybe pushing all the way to that third. Let's kind of set the scene here. Let's rewind this a little bit. Playoffs starting off, right? 4 teams entering this one. UCD, QUB, both sweeping their opponents. Not the most resistance put up. These teams are looking quite in form for this finals.
Yeah, and most importantly was QUB versus DCU, because DCU were fan favorites. They were the ones to come in here. They were meant to be winning everything. They had the best normal split performance, and they got 2-0 by QUB. And when you have a performance like that, you got to have confidence coming in towards this last game. While on the opposite side of UCD, yes, MU weren't classed as being as strong, but they were still a pretty solid team, beating them 2-0 as well. And in this fashion, I think both of these teams need to have a very strong start to be good for that second game. Because, of course, this is only a best-of-3 series. If you lose the first one, you're in this position where you can either keep how you're going and keep trying these super late team fight comps as both these teams have drafted, or they can focus a little more around trying to go for explosiveness, get that early game pressure. And I'm not sure either of these teams is very strong in that category.
It is also worth noting that, as we kind of joked a little bit of, hey, name a champion in the role, and they're probably playing it for QUB, but UCD is not that far off as well. These are familiar matchups, right? Syndra Ahri, this is a staple of every mid laner who has ever played more than about a dozen games of mid lane. Renekton, Sion, This is the classic, how hard can you beat him? Because Sion's pretty inevitable. He will continue to make progress in this game. You have to keep him down early. This is not a knowledge check kind of game. Most of the knowledge has already been done. I expect these players to know it. This is just execution, coordination. This feels about as honorable as you can get for a game one, Zach.
Yeah, usually you get to see a wacky pick like the Katarina mid lane that we saw a couple weeks ago. But no, everybody said, okay, I know you're a good player. I'm going to respect you. And I'm going to play a champion, which I know how to play and you know how to play against. It's all about those small micro wins that we're looking for today. Good examples is just Jody, the mid laner on the Ari. He has 61% win rate in 59 games. Every champion that is getting picked here, people have played a decent amount of, even with that and better in the jungle. It's something that we've seen their top laner play and their jungler play over 20 times. Just showing that everybody is bringing their A game, as they know if they don't, the enemy team is just going to dominate.
So, Mr. Colorcaster, this is the moment. Right? We have the connection who has gone through. We will be hitting the rift in just 1 minute. We've got 3 games. We've got Fearless, and these are 2 teams who are currently in good form. Predictions. Which way are you leaning? Let's say nameplates off first, and then toggle them on and see if that changes your answer.
I believe that teams at this level need to have a good early, a good mid, and a good late. They don't need to be perfect at any of them. They just got to have tools to fight whenever. Because the one thing I've learned about casting for 2 years in the Irish collegiate scene, everyone wants to fight. That's why I'm giving it to QUB. Yes, their team comp isn't as good late, but you still have a Xingzao, Lulu, Ari that can make plays. You know, Renekton just flash ults, and then the Syndra, and somehow the Sivir's dead. They have enough. It's just, can they close the game early? I think so, but we'll have to see.
And even with that said, they still have meaningful late game damage, right? You're still Yunara Lulu. You might not be just the pantheon, no pun intended, of champions on the other side that are looking to play for late, but you still aren't just going to fall off a cliff, right? You're not playing these Lucians of the world where it's like, all right, guys, we're playing Pike Lucian, end the game in 12 minutes or we lose. They're still going to be able to get it done. I would tend to lean that way as well. QUB, is that nameplates on, or is that just team fights? Do you think QUB, right, they've been in finals. UCD, QUB, we touched on, they've both made their fair share of finals, right? These are very familiar teams to make it to this position. Does that change anything of what you have watched over the last weeks?
I don't think so. I think both of these team comps are very regimental on how they want to play, and I think QUB have a slightly easier way to execute, because the thing I'm mostly thinking about is this poor Ambassador trying to play this game, because yes, you're very strong early on, 2 items, but once we get towards these late game team fights, you can never be the first one to fight. You have to be very careful with how you play it. So if you try and ult there willy-nilly, you're just going to get polymorphed and the game's over. You're just going to die instantly, compared to everybody on the side of QUB, QUB, where anyone goes in, they have a way of getting out, except for, let's say, Delulu. Delulu only has the ultimate, but still has the polymorph. At least Yunara has a dash. I'm just thinking about all these players are good enough to find picks, but are also good enough or bad enough to make mistakes. That's why I'm scared for UCD in the late game.
Listen, if your Lulu is the one going in, I think you got bigger problems than the CC she provides. You might have some bigger issues.
Don't even get me started on Masters this year. They have inflated that thing to hell. I'm Masters again, and my goddamn Emerald 1 Katarina mid laner is Masters now. It's a dark day, sandbag.
The days of Master 0P and Master... What's the cap these days? The cap's something insane, isn't it?
For it's Masters to Grandmasters, I believe it's like 500, 600 at this point.
I can't even remember what it is off the top of my head.
It's
something outrageous to get in there. However, we are 1,200 is the word from production, is the cap into GM crazy at the moment. That is, yeah. You have a little bit to climb on that one. QUB has the slight nod. UCD looking to take them down, and we will be loading on to Summoner's Rift momentarily. And the one thing I want to highlight about this comp in particular, we've been kind of saying, big team fight comp, look for the combos. You got point and click CC out of Sweeper, point and click CC out of Crimson Chaos. Charm's a whole lot easier to hit when they're standing still. Summoner's Rift on screen. Zath, we go live for the BO3 with bot lane, a little bit of a collision. Of course, why do you ask me? Bit of chip damage. Crimson Chaos losing about 2/3 of his HP, and Lulu having a pot early, even before the minions crash.
Yeah, the auto attack cancel with that W. With that 1 auto attack can deal a lot of damage with the level 1, especially when, you know, are not known for being the best in the early game. So UCD with a confident start in the bot lane to make it even better is they can heal it up with the Sonar if they did actually take any damage, compared to the Lulu with the shielding, who mostly tries to get these plays where when they make the trade, the shield tanks up all of it. So it depends on how UCD plays the bot lane on how it's going. As towards the mid lane, Syndra having not the best time down there. Being chunked out just a little bit by the Yari. But so far, UCD very happy with how this bot lane's going.
Yeah, complete lane control. And when you are the Sivir Sona, the thing that really matters, yeah, the health bar is nice, but the thing that really matters is the creeps. Wave position matters so much for these Sivir lanes, and the mana bar, nice and healthy, you're loving life.
Yeah, one thing we didn't mention is it's actually going to be a Sion in the jungle and Ambessa in the top lane. A matchup which is slightly favored towards the Renekton compared to the Ambessa. At level 6, it's very much favored in towards that position. However, the thing to change that up is going to be the Ignite on the Ambessa compared to the Teleport on Sweeper. So if we can find Ambessa finding the lead using that, she's going to be in a very good position, as it's still very much a snowball heavy lane.
Honestly, I considered that, but I thought back in the day, what people seemed to figure out the answer to Ambessa when she first released was Renekton, right? Just stat stick her. So I'm very curious to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, and we mentioned this before in the draft is, who do they want to pick? They want to pick this Ambessa because they can have that flexibility of putting it towards the jungle or towards the top lane or even in the mid lane. Because of that, they have themselves an okay matchup in the top lane, but a pretty solid one in the jungle. As Sion isn't going to be that strong in these fights early on, but it's going to become an absolute demon in these late game team fights, just really showing that UCD have kind of forgotten how their lanes are going to perform, mostly just focusing on how holistically they work together after they get in towards these team fights.
Yep, the idea of the sum of the whole greater than the sum of its parts, as there's a very nice trade. Last very long range grasp auto ends up swinging it in, and Ambessa's doing a good job playing range in this one early on.
Yeah, it doesn't have that teleport to get themselves out safely.
String the Best and Joe Fish can be finding itself on this bot crab. String the Best in a whole heap of trouble. Bot lane looking reinforced though. Charm goes astray, charging up the decimating smash. The Sion's gonna be the first one to fall. 2-man scatter. Here comes Wilted Rose with a slight mana pool problem. Joe Fish flashing heal keeps him alive. Very nice from the bot lanes. They flash on forwards. Whitey Aspie's gonna be able to take out Joji. 1-for-1 trade. It is jungle for mid, and the blood flows early, Zath.
And it's even funnier, not even focusing on that, is going to be that Sion had a quicker clear than the Xin Zhao. Just showing how some of these less usual junglers can be useful in these team fights. But UCD really well played with that priority, and especially the trades early on gave themselves the advantage, being able to get that kill back. So 1 kill in the mid lane apiece for both of these mid laners. The CS is the same, however, Syndra with the wave pushing into her is going to be in a solid position.
As we have top laners who are getting real low, and remember, there is an Ignite in this lane. So Sweeper is playing with both literal and metaphorical fire up down top side.
Now, Sandbag, you know I'm flash ulting into there. Oh, sorry, I'm flash queuing using that.
Bot lane's going to be kicking it off, though. Dipping on in. Totsy's going to be popping the barrier first. Why do you ask him putting the autos in? The last one does not do it. Flashing away. Lozy doesn't have the HP to work with. The mana doesn't do it. Double kill to the QUB marksman. 2v2 asserted bot side. And Joe Fish looking for a fight of his own. String the Best going to be zoning on out. Junglers in a stare down, but it is the Sion who makes him blink first.
And you can tell they're sniffing this tower dive. They want it so badly. However, because they can't do it, String the Best trying to steal away a few of these camps. Does have the smite. Can he get it?
Walking at him. Sweeper is going to be en route, though, as now the Sion's going to be in a bit of trouble. Ambessa can't join. Renekton collapses. Doesn't press the flash key. String the Best oversteps, and down he falls. Maybe getting one back with this body. Popped up in the air. 3 Talon Strike, and the grasp auto does it. Sion gonna do what Sion gonna do.
Funnily enough, that's actually pretty good for the Sion. He steals away the cabs, gets 1-for-1, and allows Ambessa to clear that wave. So these small leads starting to build up. As down towards the bot lane, QUB still not able to get that prio because of the Sivir, but very strong with that double kill onto Yanara. And that's just the difference between both of these supports in the early game. Lulu very good at those long extended trades. Well, of course, Sona's better at healing him up afterwards. And because UCD went for that long trade, QUB wins and now has a lead in that bot side.
Yeah, the gold not really manifesting that much right now, as you do have Zerker Graves. Ooh, Losey's down to 300 HP. That's a bit of damage there with that Heartbound Axe.
Yeah, Sona does some healing, but won't be able to heal up that much for a very long time. It's up towards the top lane. I'm still sniffing this fight. You can see how close and Mbessa is to finding that kill, but with that ultimate on Sweeper, is a no-can-do. So just going to be able to stop that reset. As towards the bot side, you're in this awkward position where QUB have now set up a freeze. They have the Xin Zhao as well, where they can either try and look for a 3 versus 2 in the bot side, or instead push this out and get themselves ready for that dragon.
I think they understand the situation. You see Sion on minimap. He's going to be in this for the long con, right? Waiting for the counterplay. They lay a trap here as they step on forwards, going on this. Lulu flashing forwards. Totzi's able to pick up the Sona first, flashing away. Crimson Chaos baits it perfectly, trading on out. Why do you ask me down to 1 HP? Smited down. The slow doesn't cut it. String the best can be channeling his Q. Does get a double kill for himself. He's tanky enough to walk it out. 2 kills apiece. The jungler is the one who stays standing.
Yeah, remember when Sion was able to find the kill earlier and smite away those Krugs? That's the difference between the Xin Zhao being level 6 and the Sion. With that ultimate available, he gets that double kill and actually saves that play for the team. UCD coming up pretty solid in this game, especially when we say QUB needs the one to find that lead. Yes, they have it on the perfect person with the Yanara, but can they keep forcing this forward, especially when the Yanara with the 3 kills is still 10 CS behind?
As you do have the first Drake of the game, hasn't even been touched so far, as they do have some pings on in, winning on those level 6s. Drake will immediately be harassed after saying that one forwards, as it looks like Joe Fishes has the reinforcements he needs to start that one up comfy.
Yeah, Joji will always have priority in the mid lane. Bot lane was able to push out because of that Sivir reset. Therefore, QUB, with no contention in sight, will be able to get themselves this Cloud Dragon. On the opposite side, Sion will be able to pick up a few camps to try and counter this. But overall, QUB very happy with it. Remember, the game plan was to get those early dragons, force these team fights in the mid game, just to force them to play in this awkward position at that 1 and 2 items where QUB is much stronger.
Perhaps a collision course. Drink the Best is going to be eating the full combo for exactly 1/3 of his health bar and walking away with absolute indifference.
Now, Ari is meant to be an assassin. The problem is, literally nobody can assassinate a Sion if he's not super far behind into the game. So the ultimate is going to get procced, and it does give a possibility for them to start up these Void Grubs, because Ari won't be able to get prio anymore and won't be able to be strong in these team fights.
Very nice trade up here from the MSA. Yeah, the Sion is, yes, you are an assassin, but it's pretty tough to assassinate a wall. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried your hand at it. It's pretty tough to do.
I haven't punched a wall, but I feel like it would hurt.
I feel like not where you want to be. A Sion is going to be looking up on that top side. Sweeper, paying respect, able to walk it out. Some nice footwork from Joji's able to step away from that scatter, as here comes the fish. Flash forwards, wind become lightning. Wilted Rose is able to flash to the other side. Sion inbound, here comes the train. Another sidestep. QUB's got the blue suede shoes on, but you can't dodge them all. Popping the ultimate, slowed, smited, walking it out, and the Sion just walks him down. String the Best on a killing spree.
Yeah, and forcing the teleport out from the Renekton.
Sweeper's gonna be stepping on forwards here, but he's all out of juice, popping the Dominus and forced to flash. This Sion just walking him down over and over, waiting for that Q cooldown to come back. Doesn't have it. Sweeper's able to walk it forwards, tries to flash to the other side. Joji tries to make the plays, but doesn't have enough in the tank. Unstoppable for the Sion, and this brick wall has hands.
And he's just unkillable. Even when he hasn't built himself any magic resist, he's just so far ahead that Joji just doesn't have the damage. And while all of this was happening, Sweeper TPing into the mid lane gave the top laner Mbessa all the time in the world to get themselves 2 tower plates, push in 2 ways as well. And now this gold lead that should be even because of the kills is actually 2,000 in the favor of UCD because of the CS lead in mid, bot, and top lane.
Yeah, top lane cresting 20 CS, right? 95 to 79 as he picks up the remnants of the wave. But where your eyes start to linger is if Observer, could you flip on over to the gold in the jungle matchup? Because I'm looking at 1300 in isolation. That is just the Scion. Yeah, he doesn't have any MR, but he's got enough HP that you could be doing true damage and it's still not moving.
Sandbag, I'm starting to consider you might have to play this when we play solo queue together, especially if we're able to form at any level that String the Best is able to. But if we go back towards the items, we talk about finding those leads. That is exactly what this Ambassador's been able to do. Got that first item compared to only components from the Renekton. Lane that is very much snowball heavy. Ambassador's in a position now with no ultimate on the Renekton where you can actually bully him, something that isn't known to really happen in this matchup.
No, Ambessa is more than happy with the situation at hand, and in the bot lane, we were joking about they were basically only caring about creeps. Yeah, you're down 700 gold, but you're still a Sivir Sona. If there was one place that you were willing to give up some pressure, it is exactly that. UCD is loving life right now as the Ignite's gonna be ticking. Everyone collapsing up on the top lane. Dominus popped. Here comes the sweeper. They're gonna go for the full-on dive. Joefish doesn't have enough to survive the top laner. He will end up going down, does the sweeper. Wilted Rose walking forwards. Charm sidestepped, trying to get that decimating smash and connecting onto two, but the shutdown still comes through. Syndra falls. String the Best is still too tanky. He's just walking underneath structures. Bot lane with some nice trades. Bot lane, as Lozy's gonna be popping his own ultimate crescendo plus boomerang blade. Get some damage onto Totsi. A lot of scrapping, but it ends up going one more death for the side of UCD.
I love how you said damage in the bot lane. That was just tickling. They just kind of threw things out and the HP bars just didn't move at all.
Totsi's down to 300 HP, and the health bar moved, boss.
Yeah, but still as the ultimate, got the barrier, still in a position where they can look for a fight, and that's what they're sniffing in the bot lane, seeing what they could do. As Renekton in top lane, doing a few trades, but overall, UCD able to clear that wave, get their vision. Maybe with this overstep, they could have a position. You could see them sniffing.
Totsi's trying to work their way on through that cannon minion, and maybe something to be had here. Lozy does still have flash, so it ends up just being that ultimate. Trying to stall. Here comes the Scion, though. Wind become lightning. Joefish can be dashing on in, waiting for the pop-up. Here comes a wild growth. Totsi letting it rip as Whitey Ask Me stands their ground. Scion en route. Sound the retreat. The brick wall is angry. Forcing the flash. Two-man pop-up. String the Best can do no wrong. The alley-oop to Wilted Rose as he marches in. Polymorph spent. Here comes Joji. Double kill to the mid laner. This Scion tanks forever. That's a quick 10-7 as 3 men fall under QUB's T1.
When Scion could build himself Tiamat in 13 minutes and still be unkillable, that just clearly shows how strong he is in this game. UCD with a great outplay there, and honestly, String the Best is having an incredible game. Top lane, ooh, very close there, better as well.
Yeah, Sweeper is just going to be popping that Dominus. He has full rage, Mountain Drake taken in the meantime. Ignite is not there, so I don't think Ambessa quite has lethal.
Yeah, you need to wait for Renekton to use that Q, get himself to heal up, and then try and look for the players mid lane.
Joji forcing a flash out of Wilted Roses. Here comes Sweeper stepping forwards, popping that empowered W as he doesn't quite have the stun. 8GS going to be walking it on out, and Renekton gets out of dodge.
Yeah, got himself that Eclipse, does a lot of damage, and is able to tank with that shield from the item. Now, looking at the game, the gold lead is around about the same as before, UCD with a solid one, but all of it is on that Scion. Of course, he does deal a lot of damage at this point to the game because of the base damage, but there will come to a point at these 2-3 items where that changes.
Mid, hold that thought as they're going to be jumping on in. AGS going to be doing battle with Sweeper, force the flash away. The Ignite comes up and makes the difference. Solo Bolo topside, UCD can do no wrong.
You mentioned about that Ignite. It needed to be up and available for that extra damage, and with it, they get themselves the kill, especially with the Tiamat just proccing it at the end. So real good outplays in that top lane, just truly showing how good these players can be when they're playing at their best. 4,500 gold lead, another wave under, and another tower play. At this point, AGS is looking very strong in his 1v1.
Most definitely. Joefish is going to be unfortunately finding himself on some vision. He's got nothing really to do. No camps up, and so he's just going to press his B key. It was worth just checking out, but Closey stopping a recall. Nothing to be had.
To be had, but still sniffing. They know who their main carriers in this game is. The Yanara. You need to find her a bigger lead. Got 3 kills early into the game, but hasn't found much afterwards. Doesn't have that bite to get through that Scion. You need to have those 3 items. Get yourself some armor penetration. They're still not even on their second. So a long time before that. 3 minutes for that dragon. Both teams want to be looking for it. UCD fortunately have stopped that dragon stacking, so they don't have to worry too much for now.
Yep, they are currently splitting Drake's 1 apiece here, and as we have a bit of a lull in the action, it's worth checking in. Mid lane, somehow getting 4 kills on their Syndra doesn't feel like it's been a very, prescient part of the game.
Yeah, hasn't really been able to do too much as top lane.
Sembessa, she's got at least 1 dash to work with at any given moment, and deploys it to get out of there.
And that's the problem with that champion. You can go in, you can absolutely dominate, and then just get yourself out to safety. It just feels super safe. But no, to mention what you said about Wilted Rose's way.
Sion's gonna be jumping on in underneath the structure once again. I think I've seen this one before. Godlike for the Sion as he tanks it up once again. And they're just making it look easy. You want to say outplay, and then you realize they just right-clicked enemy bot lane and they died.
And I feel like Sion heard what I said about he doesn't have the damage. Titanic Hydra as his second item. Been able to get that ult, the Q, and the extra damage from that. He is going to be packing a punch. As towards his bot lane, going to be able to get themselves at least 4 plates up there, as we do a Xin Zhao up top.
We do have that indeed, as Sweepers can be pulling the trigger on early. Here comes the Imbessa ultimate, trying to get away from that public execution. Joe Fish in the wings, and Sweeper does call in a favor, gets the shutdown on the opposite number, and Bessa down for 30.
Imbessa may have 3 or 4 dashes, but it's still not enough when you're against a Renekton Xin Zhao with that amount of CC. Sarn's still up here, seeming to be everywhere on the map. Going to be able to clear the wave, allow Renekton only to get 1 tower plate, as they have eventually moved their Sivir towards this mid lane. Constant wave clear, constantly able to roam around the map, as UCD's main goal now is to get these outer tower plates. Try and push out mid, focus towards the top side and finish that one off, while towards the bot lane, QUB trying to clear this out and then rotate towards mid lane to match the Sivir and the Sona.
Trying to keep this macro ticking. Worth calling out, Joji. While the scoreline does not look all that impressive, currently rocking the highest CS in the game. All right, Sivir did pick up a handful there, as we do have Joe Fish en route. Lozy forced to flash away from the charm. Joji trying to get the damage done. TP channeled. Sound the retreat on that one, but Ari has been trying to pick up the CS and gold where they can. Had the most CS in the game, despite the position they were in.
Yeah, and Ari keeps trying to find picks on the sides, but hasn't been able to do much. With Syndra having 4 kills in the pocket to only 1, she doesn't have the damage to win the one-on-one. Doesn't have the damage to go in towards the enemy jungle and kill them.
Syndra not where she wants to be. Does get the fat flash over the wall, but only ends up spending the summoner spell. Shut down in perhaps a costly mistake here, as YD Aspie is going to be taking some damage here from Tots. They forced to flash away. Here comes the crescendo. Sion going to be doing a little bit of drifting. Combat Herald, you love to see it here as the Sion's going to be popping out. Does get a shutdown onto both marksmen. It's the Sion who's going to be charmed up. Lozy trying to support their jungler. Ultimate connecting onto 2. Joji forced to flash away. Popped up into the air with the 3 Talon. Crimson Chaos, whatever supplemental damage they have, but they can't bring the Sion down. 1v3 with Lozy simply a spectator. String the best is legendary. And that's illegal as the top laner is going to be looking to rejoin. Joe Fish on so much trouble. Ignite ticking, and the ultimate does not needed. And Bessa gets it done. UCD pick up a mid fight.
And Sion is just an absolute monster. Nobody on the enemy team is coming anywhere near to killing him just yet. And with that extra kill in his pocket and the team fight win, they get themselves a few tower plays in the bot lane. But most importantly, this dragon stopping QUB from getting their stacks and scaling nicely. And when we mentioned at the start of this game, QUB needed to be strong at around the 20-minute mark. They wanted to be very strong in this mid-game. Where is it? They're not able to do anything against this Sion, and he keeps scaling into the game, and even letting the Sivir and Syndra scale as well, as now Sivir has that Infinity Edge, has the Young Tao, compared to a Kraken and 1 extra item on Totsi. I think UCD is starting to come online.
Sion is 3 items. He has completed 3 items and components for the next one. String the Best is... It's hard to overstate how impossible to kill with an Ahri he is.
You pick Ahri to find the lead. We said about QUB how their jungler, their mid lane are the engine of this team. They need to find their picks, and they very much can do so. Remember, there's a Sona, Siva, Syndra. Just have a few outplay potentials with that spell shield, but there's still opportunities, and that's what they need to find. Push out these side waves, try and find them on the rotation. But it is hard whenever you push out these waves. Siva's just able to push it instantly back.
Ooh, perhaps a pick to be had here. Lozi's down to half HP. Charm connecting. Crescendo doesn't cut it. And right on cue, QUB are able to pick something up in that slight overstep from Lozi.
Yeah, you didn't have to push in bot. You didn't have to push in mid just yet. You were all on your lonesome. Fortunately, it is only going to be that 300 gold. You don't lose anything more. And especially with that Siva in the mid lane, you're not going to have to worry about that tower going down.
String the Best is just such a menacing presence as he just walks on forward. Sweeper trying to get that dice to join his slice. Here comes the Soul Furnace W. He does still have his ultimate if he wants to go for a little bit more lockdown. Down a level and completely indifferent all the same. Here comes the ult. Dominus popped and public executions can be flashed away from. He's going for the tower dive on his lonesome. Meanwhile, off screen, why do you ask me, is picked off. Xin Zhao able to get his bot lane a nice little freebie.
So overall, it's going to be a big success on the side of QB. They get themselves a kill, get an extra 2 tower plates, but it is going to get traded by UCD's top laner, who gets 4 of his own. And we said about QUB needed to find picks. That's exactly what they've been doing. Wherever Sion is, just don't fight there, run away, and make a play somewhere else.
It's a very easy flowchart. If Sion, no. That's it. That's the entire flowchart.
Sion, no.
No.
Run.
No. Absolutely not. No, not interested. Pass.
I'm just scared because, you know, I was building armor penetration, and I'm still scared she won't have enough damage in these team fights.
However, Sion has actually opted in to pick up some MR. So he's getting no more armor at this current moment. Maybe? Does that reassure you?
No. Now, I'm more questioning why he's getting a little bit of magic resist. It's an armor.
Visage. He wants Visage for the Sona empowerment because it's all healing and shielding. It's enormous. Trust me, it is absolutely ridiculous. If you have a Visage and then you have something like a Sona, you'll heal like 600 damage in a fight. Now, even on a J4, let alone with your own W.
It felt like you purely came out of cast mode. You're like, no, honestly,
it's
you
good.
need to.
No, it's good. It's good. It's really, really good. Visage.
You know what makes it even better?
What's that?
There's no healing reduction on the opposite side.
I mean, you can't afford it, man. They're trying to find whatever damage they can, let alone luxury.
Okay, no, you can still tell your Lulu to buy it instead of the Kindle Gem.
Lulu is currently working on an item of their own as in comes that aforementioned Sion walking forwards. 2-man ultimate as Joe Fish is going to be popping his Crescent Guard, but they're still inside his bubble. Tatsu's going to be ulting as best as they can. A little bit of damage on in. Why do you ask me is down? They turn it around. The Sion has no allies. QUB simply ignore the wall and go right around them. 3 kills in mid lane. QUB coming back to life.
Yeah, and UCD just overexcited there, thinking that they can just go for the play because they've won every other major team fight with no one better in sight and nobody to tank up except for that Sion. They just walk around him like you mentioned before, get themselves to kill and get themselves to Baron. Sion is still available, he is still very tanky, but he's actually killable with all 5 members.
1v5, he's absolutely killable. The 2v5 potential. Here's the public execution. Gonna be jumping on a Tatsi. 2-man decimating smash into the back lines. They're able to get a pair. That 2-man topside. Sion and Mbessa get a double kill of their own. Interrupting the decimating smash, trying to stall as long as they can. Remember, there's a Sion passive all the same. Shut down to Ahri. They will stop the Baron, but Sion is slain.
Yeah, raid boss down. 1,000 gold shot down for 1 member on the side of QUB. That's big for them. They're looking for another pick here. Fortunately, Syndra still has scattered a weak outplay potential, but UCD very close to making a major mistake there and losing the Baron.
Still has scattered, but ult is not quite off cooldown in just a moment. They do have 4 men strong. The bot lane is respawning for QUB in just 1 second. The stare down begins. No one's comfortable enough to start it up. Sion dead for 12.
Yeah, they need to make a play quickly. San's the main damage dealer, the main tank, the main everything on the side of UCD. So start the fight before he's up. They have ultimates available.
Bot lane en route. They're going to be jumping on in. Wilted Rose in the front lines as they do dive onto the Syndra. Here comes the back line. Do they have the dive? Joe Fish is going to be the first one to go down. A rampage for the Ambessa. Joji's able to trade one back on the other side. HGS stalling as best they can. The shield not in time. Shut down. Ambessa, the solo lanes both fall. Trading out the smite though. Sion's the only smite of the game. He doesn't have a flash and he is looking to cause some problems. Charm too early. String to best stalling. Here comes the bot lane here to reinforce. Sweeper's gonna be not getting a knockup from the Wild Growth and just gonna jump onto the backline. Sivir down. The Sion's gotta do everything himself and he's damn well able to do it. Triple kill to String the best. This Sion is indeed Atlas and the world is on his shoulders.
Yeah, teleport available for the Yari. Maybe you can come back in and find these plays, especially with these Hextech gates available. Yes, he deals damage towards the enemy members, but let's see if he has the damage to clear it in time. Does look like it. And Sion, the only reason he was able to win that team fight was actually that Titanic Hydra. He hit it onto Joji, which killed the enemy AD carry. And with that small outplay, UCD able to get themselves this dragon, putting themselves on soul point. But we're seeing exactly what QUB want to do. Where the Sion is, just walk around him. You see the Sivir, you see the Syndra. If you kill them, you're going to be okay.
If Sion, no. The flowchart was answered. However, the problem is there's a lot of Sion. There's a lot of no available. They're picking off, why do you ask me, consistently, right? This is twice that he's died without even being able to get a flash off. And it's still so hard to find these fights.
Yeah, more importantly, you said didn't have to use that flash. He has it in the next team fight. Around a minute's time, Wild Rose will have the same. It's going to be even harder to make these outplays. You have flash on Renekton, you don't have flash on Ari, but you have 3 flashes with your ultimates, and maybe that isn't the concern. But they will be looking for Totsi in the mid lane. Just an overstep. Not going to be able to find anything just yet. And what UCD want to do is just clear these sideways and just gain full vision on, of course, this Baron. And we mentioned about having that kill there on towards the Sion, having that damage on the Yunara. Once that Infinity Edge comes through, there's actually a decent likelihood where they can kill the Sion if they have enough time to hit him.
She's already got LDR, which is going to go a long way to bridging that gap. You see Joji on the left-hand side of your screen. Posting up in that Raptor pit, that's the classic spot, right? Just post up in the Raptor pit, ready to ult over, throw out a charm, but they will eventually get the ward down. And the jockeying for position, 3K in the difference is all that separates these teams.
But even more importantly, take a look at what Sion and Syndra are doing. They've started up this Baron, trying to sneak it away, thinking that if they don't have their Sivir there, the enemy team won't think it started. But now the pings come through, and they will be checking it. They're trying to force a fight, as Sion hasn't even taken a single shed of damage on this.
Ooh, I'm not sure you want to flip this, though. 4K HP, they're just going to full send this one. Blast Cone is possible. Joe Fish into the pit. They're going to go 1,200 and stolen by the QUB jungler. Now, call the retreat. Do not fight. The heist complete, and QUB is able to wear some purple on the way out. Sweeper taking the bullet for his bot lane. Crimson Chaos just leaves him to the wolves. Sweeper down, but Baron a worthy sacrifice.
And I like the idea from Sweeper, tank it up, Mikhails, get yourself out to safety, but Sivir or Lulu wasn't able to get close enough. Now they just need to hold on.
And that's going to be easier said than done as String the Best has got about 19 bars on his barcode of a health bar. He's just going to walk on in and T2. There's a little bit of damage, though, as maybe it's not as strong as it looks. Trying to crack that T2. Scatter onto a pair. Lozy's going to be topping him up. A stiff breeze will knock down that tower, but it remains on its feet. Or foundation.
Yeah, foundation makes a little more sense.
I can't listen.
Been talking to enough bricklayers in my time with my job, so very proud of you there, Sandbag. But minute and a half's time, they're trying to crack open this base. They're mostly looking for, of course, that objective.
It's Totsi that matters, though. This Yunara does have enough damage to really start to make the Sion sweat. Right, he's still a wall, but this is a bigger and bigger wrecking ball. 4th item complete. The IE highlighted. 90 seconds till the D-Day.
And that's the perfect point QUB want to be at. Having their Yunara having enough damage to get through the Sion. Hopefully she doesn't have to hit the Sion because you can hit everybody else instead. But if you have to, it's a possibility. Minute and 20 time, this is going to be the make or break. If they can get themselves to soul, UCD practically win every team fight if they don't absolutely run it down. However, got no Baron, got no vision. They're going to have to go in blind.
That's a little bit of damage brought to bear as YD Aspie's gonna be popping the ultimates and the move speed to just skate on out. 1 minute towards Drake. Sivir really wanted the gold to get that third item, but it's not looking like she's able to get it in time.
And armor penetration would have done a lot because, of course, the rest of the team would have great use of it, especially when it jumps onto everybody. 40 seconds time, full vision still on the side of QUB. Remember, both of these teams are 2-0 in their last series. They very much want to have this momentum boost them in towards the third game, especially with it being the grand finals. Going in towards that second game already with a win under your belt, it's going to do a lot for your morale. Both teams just jockeying for position. I'm a little scared that UCD, can they actually walk in? We saw Sam be pretty tanky, but we also saw Totsi absolutely ruin his health bar. So we already see him try to walk in here. Has the team beside him and Bessa with that teleport?
And Bessa with teleport. However, summoner spells check. Neither carry has flash. Neither Syndra nor Sivir have flash.
And that's the only reason they were able to win that last team fight, because whenever Ari went onto the Sivir, flash out to safety, reposition yourselves, and you also force the enemy team to look onto you. It's now, nice Q.
Connecting onto both backliners. Crimson Chaos is actually receiving a whole lot of AoE damages. Here they go into the backlines. Totsi's gonna be jumped on. Do they have enough damage to get the one shot off? No, they do not! The Lulu gets it done. Surviving the encounter is Totsi. That's a 4v5 for 53 seconds.
However, if they start this up, look at how many ultimates are used. Lulu and Janara not available. And even that Ari, there's actually a big play going to happen here, especially with Lozy.
DPS check, 3k HP. Joe Fish is going to be trying to find his way into the pit, knocking him up into the air. Do they have the smite fight? It's Sion who gets it. And remember, this is going to be a soul complete as YD Aspie is going to be cutting his way off the left-hand side of your screen. They have the move speed. They have the damage. That's UCD with soul and a double for their mid laner. The only one left is Crimson Chaos and Joji, and UCD barrel down mid.
And it may have looked bad what HE did, but they got all the summoners out of the bot lane. No ultimate available for Joji as well. Just allowing the Sion to just do this.
String the Best is living his best tank life. When you get ahead of the curve and you can simply right-click enemy health bars, life is so good. As here comes the Scion's charge. Bousy special. That's a crescendo. And at what point in the orchestra does the crescendo bring an end? 32 minutes into the game, UCD are going to be picking up game one.
What a fashion to do so, going for the outplay. And you just see how long Sion stays alive, almost killing the Zins out at the end here.
I'm gonna wrap this one up, trying to pad the KDAs the meantime, but UCD, String the Best, take a bow.
And I would have said to QUB, what can you do? They tried for that mid-jungle duo, but this Sion just found those couple kills in the bot lane and pushed it forward. And I want to say, wow, the Bows would be proud of you, but you only died 4 times. You need to die at least 10, maybe 20, and then the Bows can start having your number. But no, incredible game from both of these two teams. UCD versus QUB. Of course, we talked about confidence. UCD are going to have it after they had a team comp that needs to scale into the late game, and they even won the early game with it.
Absolutely. They were able to get a couple good deaths, right? Remember, I want to highlight, there was the Krug's death, right? Walk to enemy Krugs, smite it, die, beat him to death with the zombie version, right? There's some good deaths in there, right? Baus is still getting proud, but yeah, absolutely. Supporting the linchpin. The linchpin was a Scion, but they're still able to support the linchpin of their team fight.
It felt so weird because you're like, okay, Scion, you're here to support your AD carry. AD carry. Ultsasan could go in. He's the one that's going to win you the game. Don't you worry. But no, all jokes aside, incredible play from UCD, especially from their jungler. You talked about those deaths, and even the Ambassador at the end who died to just get all the ultimates out to give Sion the space to win that team fight, especially when he went for that draft and he went for that composition. So overall, I think we're going to have a third or a second game that's going to be very tense as well.
Absolutely. Pushed all the way to the brink, right into the 30-ish minutes. 3K. It was still big moments coming back the other way. If you're QUB, you can kind of put your hands up and be like, all right, he got a little bit ahead of the curve. They fought back valiantly, right? AD carry was coming together. Yunara had some damage, but they just couldn't put those pieces together. And as soon as Soul goes the other way, that's going to be your tipping point and wrapping it up. But we got another game. And we got
Yeah.
another fearless game. So we get another pivot for these teams. Do not go anywhere. Grand Finals Game 2 right after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 2 of the IECS Grand Finals, powered by Red Bull, Dog Patch, GG Machines, and Play Aid, making it happen. I am still Sandbag, this is still Zathos, and we are still 1-0 up for UCD. QUB looking to push us to Game 3, and UCD looking to make it a quick night. Bans on screen. Zath, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. And I've been reading a lot of books, or at least wanted to with Fakers. And I've been reading the playbooks for both of these teams, UCD versus QUB. What are they going to pick? What are they going to ban? Well, the bans are a little easier as you see it on top of your screen. However, I've got a few predictions here from all you guys. I think QUB might be wanting a Jinx first pick, which has been taken away. Now, I think they're going to most likely opt for either the Ezreal or maybe a Dr. Mundo first pick. So I'm going to see if my book reading has helped me, or if I'm a complete numpty and UCD are making me look like
it's
one.
not Blue Evolution. I don't believe it. I just
mean,
I just
they get
don't believe
buffed.
it.
Got buff
Don't
last
believe it.
patch, very strong. Can go for the Nami. Plenty of
Not Blue
different
One.
outplay capabilities. Can
Never get
flex
baited
it.
by hovers. Never get baited by hovers. There's no way you're just
Man,
Blue
but
One
like Lucian's fun.
Never
Lucian's
get baited.
fun.
No, never get baited. You're better
not
than
like
this, Zath.
QUB
We've been doing
has,
this
like,
2 years of doing this, and we're baited by hovers. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, but like
Jin's gonna be
2
picked.
years of doing this, how many times have I read a book? Come on now. Like, it's not going to be the best start, but Jin, first pick, very strong. Going to have a lot of flexibility. The problem is, we mentioned before, Jin's a champion that against a lot of tanks.
Mr. Useful.
Maybe there's a book about that.
I come from NA, right? You can tell by the accent. That is affectionately referred to as Mr. Useful because he's always really, really useful. Mr. Useful. He's about to fourth shot Braum Unbreakable and quite literally do no damage. Vayne picking, that's what I like.
Vayne's super aggressive in towards the Jhin. I do like it. I think the best option against this could be a Karma in the bot lane, something that gives you priority, allows you to push about. Lux very much has the same values. Side of UCD have picked this up quite a few times beforehand, has himself a 60% win rate on that Lux, but still has that flexibility towards the mid lane. So I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I think Karma, just with that movement speed, gives you the chance to run away from the AD carry, but instead, just going to be that Lux.
Yep, Lux going to be locked in on that one. And now here's the pivot, right? I think you're going to probably want to take your jungler just to keep that flex alive more than likely. What are we thinking?
I don't know. I think you do pick up jungler here. Plenty of different possibilities. The Moo has been banned away. They have Wukong. Some of it is solid. I don't love the Galio as much. Something that does very badly into the Vayne. If they're flexible on that, that is horrendous. But it does give yourself a front line, different possibilities, flexible up towards the top side. And with this Galio on the mid lane, I have seen QUB pick up some AD mid laners. I was thinking Irelia. Yone very much does the same thing. And it very much feels like QUB are, instead of building a team comp that works around them, they're picking a team comp that just stops UCD from playing these lanes.
However, it does now end up with very heavy auto-attacking champions. So now you have to try and find some sort of a pivot here. Things like the Rumble and the Mordekaiser that you highlighted for the sweeper become that much more important if that's kind of what you're expecting to kind of round out this draft, because this can skew very easy to itemize against.
Yeah. Now, importantly, QB jungler Joe Fish does love picking up these AP champions. We've seen him on the Fiddlesticks, seen him on the Lilia, and a few other ones like the Diana as well. So there's plenty of different viabilities for them in that jungle. But with the Galio in the mid lane, the Lux, the Jhin, they're mostly focusing around this bot lane, but they need a champion that wants to harder engage. Like the J4, they might be banning away. Nocturne could be a good possibility, as their big goal is trying to stop this Vayne from playing the game.
Yep, try and lock down as best as they can. You've got a million options here. This is going to be very tough to predict of where they look to move for this. I like the idea of something like a Lilia, but then you run into Galio, and it's tough on this one.
Yeah, I don't love any major AP junglers. You can go for Fiddlesticks for a bit more scaling. Sure, Sejuani. But now you force yourself in a position where you're realistically only going to play Mordekaiser, Silas, or Rumble in the top lane, which allows the enemy team to already know what you're doing, not having the best red side last pick. However, UCD do need to find the answer for that, and a jungler that does well in towards a Sejuani. You can, of course, pick something like the Wukong for that disengaged potential, As I think that's probably your best bet. Just disengage, play a front to back poke fight team comp. But no, instead, gonna go for that Kane.
I could have had a lot of guesses and not come up with, yes, blue 4 Kane is going to be the normal pick here.
Hear me out. Could be Kane top.
Could be
Kane
Galio top. If you
It
pick
could
the
be a lot of things.
If you pick the thing that you run into, if you pick the Rumble to try and fix your kind of DPS disparity, is you just put the Galio top lane and then you're playing one of the most classic matchups to negate the Rumble.
Yeah.
And the Graves lock in. Okay, UCD. All right, I see.
They're cooking as much as possible. Do you remember last game we said UCD? Have a comp that works, loves to scale, but they still somehow won early game. They just said, okay, guys, we're game up. Pick. I don't want to pick. Well, you have to pick, so just pick your best champions. Well, on the side of QUB, look how beautiful this draft is. The Sejuani with the Gwen and then the Braum. The amount of Freljordian passives that they're going to get procced here is incredible.
I don't know why I didn't think about the Gwen for Sweeper as one of the champions that I think I've seen him play the most. And just slip my mind of fixes your disparity, does well into the tank busting. You've got true damage on true damage on true damage now, right? Yone snapback, Vayne Silvervolts, Q with the snip. You have ways of getting through this. And on the other side, UCD they're building the plane while they're flying it. They're kind of just slapping things on the side of it as they go.
Yeah, and I'm trying to take a look at how many Gwen games he's had this season. He has played 8 of them. And Sandbag, would you like to know how many he's won?
I'm gonna say 6 of 8.
2. He's won 2 games.
Oh,
25%.
no.
Very small sample size, though. Of course, if he's played 100 games, he has a 25% win rate. We could call him trash. But 8 games, you get unlucky. The game doesn't go your way. And more importantly, his CS is solid. He's able to have a very decent laning phase. So there is outplay potential. The question is,
last split, he had 40 games, 59% win rate. Okay,
so, there we go.
I was gonna say in my head, he's a good Gwen. He's not a 2 for 8 kind of Gwen. Okay,
well, but he has a bad day, So, Sandbag, you asked me questions on what team's better. Do I need to answer that? Everyone knows it. It's QUB. Any day after. I'm happy I'm this side. I pick this side to win. You can stay on yours.
Listen, I'm just looking forward to seeing Kane and Graves on the same team. That's just a joy to me. Of you get interactions that you don't expect to see, interactions that in my head kind of make some sense, because this is a team fight where you're obviously going to have your Kane going in, you're going to have your Graves who wants to be up close and personal for that buckshot, Galio over the top of it. Jhin and Lux would love to be artillery, right? You'd love to be that long-range support, set up the curtain call, set up the final spark. And then you kind of got Braum in there, who's kind of going to wreck a lot of the ability that the Jhin can contribute. You got some dodge zones as Gwen is immune. Like, I quite like QUB's comp.
It just gets worse because Jin's going to be immobile when he ults. Lux is going to be immobile when she ults. Sejuani just has to hit R. Braum has to hit a Q. Vayne just has to exist. Yone ultimate, Gwen ultimate. You have to dodge all of this and somehow win. The way they're going to win this is by being scrappy, being messy, and winning these lanes. Bot lane should be winning out. Graves is very strong in isolated 1v1s against the Sejuani. Incredible scaling as well. The problem is, holistically as a team fight, just don't do it. Last game we had we had Sion. Go near it? No. Team fights UCD, just no. Just don't go near it. They don't exist.
Am I completely ill? Do I like the longer I look at UCD's comp, the more I like it?
I don't like it.
But but you're playing effectively every melee under the sun into like a Galio Graves.
I'm drunk, okay? Explain this to me so I can actually pretend to like it as well.
How do you ever get on backline is the question. Like you're gonna be flying in on I feel like you should have a lead. This is the big asterisk. UCD should be up probably 2k gold, and with that, you can't just brute force walk at them.
Yeah.
In my head, like, yes, on paper, QUB, UCD, if you load into the game on 3 items apiece and you just, smash the 2 Legos together, yeah, I think QUB is better. But I think QUB should be able to get leads and avoid fighting on open ground, right? Avoid fighting fair fights where you're going to have a Jin Lux just battering this Braum early on in the game. They are Braum Vayne. They should not be able to play this game with any sort of consistency. Galio is going to be a Galio, regardless of what his number could be 100 or it could be 0 in the middle. Who cares? Graves is going to clear. Kane is going to clear. Like, I think UCD should be able to generate enough leads that it will make up for the fact that they've got a little bit of a, how you say, smorgasbord of a comp.
Yeah, and just for everybody who is watching, there is a cat here. Usually, you have to be professional. It's the grand finals. But who could really be upset with a cat? So she's absolutely cute. I'll quickly show her off to everybody. There she is. Her name's Sally. Love of my life. Best thing. So we're waiting for the lead game, Sandbag. I feel like, if there's a cat in front of you, you have to be nice to him.
Yeah, absolutely do. I will say, while we do have a little bit of a delay as we get loaded on in, I think we have delay on for the stream though to avoid some sniping. I want to see chat. Can I get a reality check? Like, is UCD actually a good comp, or do I just think it's funny? And my funny green rank is like, haha, Kane, Graves, Galio, go Burr.
I think the reason you like it is because of you're thinking about this mid and early game where they get these scrappy skirmishes fights. You see Gwen versus Kane, a pretty solid matchup, right? You see Galio into Ojone. Sure, it isn't that great, but then you also see the Graves that's very good into the Sejuani, and then a bot lane that's winning out in the 1v1s. It has legs to stand on. They just aren't the strongest legs.
I think the Gravesoft is going to be able to take over. I think Kane's going to outclear Joe Fish. You know what, UCD? You have done absolutely no convincing, and you still convinced me. I believe.
The thing is,
you have stated your case by not stating anything. I believe.
And it's even better. You went to a university Dublin campus. Is that why you're supporting them?
I went to DCU. I went, in the Republic. All right, Republic versus Northern Ireland. There's an angle there. I'm not wearing the jersey.
That's the question.
I don't think DCU is going to make a final, so I didn't feel like I needed to wear their jersey because they're not going to make an appearance anytime soon. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
That's a dark day. That's how I feel with a lot of my teams, especially in esports.
Big season,
being a
baby.
Dignitas fan.
Big season, baby.
Anybody at home, if you want to know who to support Dignitas. We haven't been good since 2012. Doesn't matter. It's Dig season, baby.
It is Dig season, but it is also the Summoner's Rift second game live on screen. A little bit of trading here up in that top side. Sweeper, the recipient of the Graves treatment, as we do have a nice bind connecting onto the bot side, right? Connecting, and the damage! Lux is getting first blood. Totsy doesn't expect it.
Yeah, and they're coming out with these outplays. They need to find those early leads, and that's exactly what they're doing. Is Galio taking a bit of chip damage in the mid lane? No ignites available, so we'll be safe there. And bot lane, this is exactly what you want to have happen.
Low Z Lux, right? This is something that he's extremely comfortable on. It is a matchup that I said is going to be completely impossible to play for Vayne and Braum. There are, like, unless you're playing, I guess, Vayne Alistair is maybe the only thing I can come up with that is worse in the early game.
Yeah, and even more importantly, we mentioned how UCD needed to find ways to outplay. We said that the ultimate from the Jhin, if he ever used it, Sejuani could just find that CC. Now this bot lane, you actually have Jhin with that cleanse. So if Braum, let's say, finds a stun onto him, you cleanse it away, you use the Lux Q to get yourself out to safety. There is outplay potential here, and UCD so far is making it happen.
On top side, Sweeper is going to be the recipient of the Ignite, taking a couple of tower shots here. Ticking pot will not quite have it. Oh, the smoke screen from downtown. That's a Graves. Top die. String the best is going to be walking in towards this crab. Bot lane reinforcements, 900 HP, trying to get the smite down. Joe Fish has the quicker trigger finger here as he's forced to flash away. Taunt not connecting. Gets the crab and gets on out.
Yeah, and with that smoke screen, the top laner QUB literally didn't see it coming. Won't be able to get themselves a double scuttle crab on string the best. However, he will be able to pick up this top one. And UCD, you wanted a 2,000 gold lead. They're already up to almost 1,000.
They are. They're over 1,000, right? They got 1,500 3 minutes into the game. UCD's comp is tech, I swear.
I mean, I'm starting to believe myself. Coming from somebody who went to University of Dublin, the question I was going to ask is there a rivalry between all the universities in Dublin, or is it more like your university's out, so you're going to support the other Dublin universities?
I don't think there's much of like rivalry per se. I think people just make fun of Trinity. I think that's just
Yeah.
the agreed upon just make fun of Trinity because it's low hanging fruit. But I wouldn't say there's rivalry nonetheless. I think you just make fun of Tritters because it's funny.
Fair enough. I mean, over here in the UK, we have a few rivalries going our way with the universities. Of course, not as good as Ireland. Don't let anybody believe otherwise. It's top lane.
Top lane in some trouble. Flash is available, but there's not much to be had. Graves will simply be walked down. Snip, snip on out. Flash, auto, and Sweeper's able to claim their prize. Joe Fish, right place, right time.
Yeah, but look at that CS differential. 10 CS up on the Graves is going to be completely even now with that kill going over and this wave going under. But overall, UCD still in a very comfortable position. Yet again, this Vayne seemed very good for these team fights, but early into the game, getting poked out, it would have definitely helped to go for that Doran shield instead of that long sword, just because of the amount of poke Lux can deal.
Yeah, this lane is borderline unplayable. Top lane down 12 CS, bot lane down 13. The waves are going to be meeting up on that one. It's tough, honestly. You're looking to just try and play as safe as you can, but UCD are good enough that they're going to start leveraging this.
Yeah, they can start cooking in the spot lane, especially with that skin on Brawl.
Okay. Yeah, Crimson Chaos will try and get something going, but they're the one who are currently receiving a little bit more heat than they can handle. Level 6 is available in the mid lane. Nice little Justice Punch backwards, string the best. Collision course onto this jungle matchup, but Joe Fish, it's still Sejuani.
Yeah, trying to get that red form on the Kane, so any sort of poke damage you can do against the Sejuani, even if you don't get themselves to camps, is still actually pretty solid if you're able to slow down her, as Sejuani's focus on trying to gank in the early game. She hasn't realistically been able to do anything so far. Heads towards bot lane, Kane's there. Heads towards top lane, Kane's already stolen her camps. Towards the mid lane.
Taunt perhaps, flashing forwards underneath the tower, flashing the other side, wilted. Rose sets it up, string the best, knocks it down. UCD 3-1, Joe Fish looking for an avenging play here, but does not find it. Galio is able to walk it on out. Very nice synergy from jungle mid.
Yeah, Sejuani, no flash available. If he went for that kill, would have died themselves, and Kane would have found too big of a lead. And they can't have that happen, especially when you talked about the team comp. If either Kane or Grace finds a big lead.
Sweeper is in some trouble here, trying to get the ultimate cut, throwing out 8GS, Ignite ticking. Here comes Joe Fish. Sweeper stalls, baited and outsmarted. Sejuani's able to find the repeat topside.
Yeah, that must hurt. Trying to go for the
Oh, and the
outplay, being
wave.
so close. And the wave doesn't even go under. It's just completely held against him. This top lane with Graves is in a winning matchup. It's not looking so winning anymore, as the Sejuani was able to find that kill towards the top side. 3-2, that gold lead we mentioned beforehand being quite a decent bit over 1,000. Now it's about 1.3. Hasn't really changed the needle too much. First dragon available for both teams. I would like it if QUB was able to find a stack of it, but it is hard with how good UCD's bot lane has been playing.
Slowly trying to leverage their lead bot lane into something. You'd like to get some sort of a conversion before, because at the end of the day, Vayne will come online, given enough time and space, eventually. So you want to try and deny it while you have the opportunity. And for Graves, you've got to be so frustrated that you have such a lead built up, and now it's not negated, but it is definitely weakened.
And you know what he says? If you need to blame anyone, blame the jungler. I think at this point, HGS can say, you know what, yeah, it is jungle diff. Why am I getting ganked 3 times before 8 minutes? And my jungler, what has he done? You know, ganked mid lane, that isn't my lane. Why would I care about that? And so far, UCD in a very solid position, even with top lane in a difficult place. But I do want to give big props towards the Vayne, who did get themselves the Vampiric Scepter, meaning that the Poke Lux is landed, won't be dealing as much damage as before.
Not quite as bad, and Braum able to take the edge off with that Unbreakable. So you see both junglers on that bot side of the map as you do throw out a curtain call, answering it out with Glacial Fissure. trying to get a Dark Harvest flashing forwards. Totzi's going to be putting some damage onto Lozy. Here comes the jungler. Final spark sidestepped. Good movement from the final hours. Now Lux is able to get the auto back. Trading it back. It's Lozy with the double kill. Pays for it in blood. But that is slash worth in all chat. Joe Fish must run for the hills. No ultimate spent. String the Best will simply walk it out. Joe Fish has to watch his bot die.
And Lozy just proving why you should pick the champions that you're best at instead of what everybody thinks is bad for you. This Kayn trying to find a kill here. Won't be able to get it, but still more stacks in their pocket. So close to getting that ultimate, but may have just overstepped.
Crash auto and forced to the other side of the wall. Stunned with the condemn. String the Best down, and an overstep indeed. Some gold back to this Vayne.
Yeah, and UCD trying to find a lead in the bot lane. They did it with that kill, but now that extra one going from String the Best over towards the Vayne, you are still very much scaling into the game. Haven't gotten themselves too many of these tower plates either. Yet again, Lux just trying to find these pokes as Lozy's having an incredible start to this game.
Lozy absolutely thrilled to get a pick that they have left in the tank for a while, right? You haven't seen it for quite a few reps here as Lozy is going to be receiving a little bit more damage, condemned into the wall. Oh no, not on time. Caster curse, no! If you're not superstitious when you start doing this, you will very quickly learn to be. It's real, and Lozy, that one's on us.
Yeah, look, I don't believe in a lot of things, but I definitely believe in the caster curse. It happens not just here in League of Legends, but anyone who casts any sort of video game or professional sport at all. UCD with that kill towards the bot lane has actually been quite a big problem for them. We mentioned that QUB, once they get towards the 2 or 3 items, they bash their heads together. They're in a solid position, getting very much closer to that.
Meanwhile, where else would Joe Fish be found if not top lane? And String the Best might look to turn this one around. His Sweeper's down to 1/3 HP himself. Joe Fish trying to beat a hasty retreat. No flash available. Sweeper is forced to flash all himself. Has an ignite. The Galio is going to be rejoined, and Joe Fish popped up into the air, but retreating to his structure. That boar is able to get hot stepping on out of there, surviving the 3v2.
Yeah, but Galio wasting the ultimate to keep his Kayn alive. Mid lane Yone pushing out that wave, getting themselves a tower plate. Already a decent, decent matchup in the mid lane. It's going to look even better as with this tower plate in their pocket, they should be able to pick up their first item. And with that Borg, mid lane practically becomes unplayable for Galio.
Yone pre and post Bork are just straight up different champions.
He just one-shot anybody.
Yeah, they're just completely different champions, providing everything you need. You got sustain, you got attack speed, anything that you need, you got it.
Yeah, and Bork is so beloved by the side of QUB. That is the first item for the Vayne as well. She will be just using it mostly to just heal up, making sure that she can deal damage in these team fights. More importantly, making sure that this Lux doesn't pack as much of a punch she usually would. As Sejuani will actually be taking a little hiatus from the top lane to make sure the bot lane is a-okay. Looking for a pick here.
Joe Fish, no ultimate yet, though. You have 3 seconds left on that timer, and that moment means everything. Ultimate available now.
And it's even more difficult as you saw what the idea was. I used the ultimate, find a kill in the bot lane and start this dragon. Now you're not going to prio in bot, not going to prio in mid lane because your Yone has to reset for that Bork we have mentioned beforehand. So now that play's been completely called off.
Yeah, you go for a bot lane play, can't find it, can't find Drake, and then you realize you settle for Gromp, which is not the most impactful of all your options.
And it makes it even worse because Kayn didn't have to do anything. He just farmed up, gets the scale into the game. The longer the game goes, the even bigger issue Kayn is going to become. As you scale and your farm, it's so much quicker than the jungle of QUB.
You do have a little bit more damage up on the top side. Ignite is available alongside that ultimate out of the graves, which gets sidestepped right on cue. Sweeper's going to be dead to the auto attack. No fear as he got 2k HP, 1100. He's going to be smiting that one down, no problem. Unbreakable for the escape. QUB. Drake secured. Can they find their exit strategy? Just going to be holding hands, walking into the bush, and make it out alive.
Yeah, it took 2 minutes longer than what they wanted, but still able to find that prize. Spain.
See, very nice tumble here as they're going to return in their attention on to String the Best, trying to stall for everyone else. Into the backlines goes the Yone. They pick off 1v3. Kayn down. Can he get the snap back? And he does indeed. Very nice stall from Joji. 1 pick, 1 Drake is now Joe Fish That blue buff might be a little much, but they still get what they want.
Yeah, the blue buff, having your jungler die, not really what you want, as UCD going to back themselves out, won't even be able to pick up that blue buff. And I like the idea from Kane, try and go for that play. But QUB played it well. They understood they didn't have prio then. They waited a minute for that Bork to come out from Joji. We talked about the damage differential. Because of that, they picked themselves up the dragon. And now that gold lead that UCD once had is still the same. They haven't been able to really build on it, which we wanted to see at that 20-minute mark. We want UCD to be at least 2k ahead with how bad their composition is in these team fights later on.
Meanwhile, Sweeper is just suffering. There's nothing else to say, but this is just suffering for this Gwen, trying to get whatever farm down, 37 in 14 minutes? Just horrible, as we do have some damage in this bot lane. Totsy receiving a final spark and losing 2/3 of their HP to a, quote, support is top side. We're going to be getting a little bit more damage in. Sweeper trying to stall, but here comes String the Best on route with bad intentions, stalling, and the Galio is going to be the one to turn this around, bringing one more to the party. Gwen down.
And Kane finally hitting that red form as Lux.
We keep it going. Fourth shot's gonna be buried on up. Here comes the lethal tempo, forcing the flash onto Whitey. Aspie tumbling forwards. Final hour. One more auto will do it onto Lozy. Damage though. Lux gets one back. It's a 1-for-1 trade. A String the Best gonna be flashing forwards, trying to stall. Joe Fish does not die to the ultimate. That's a huge amount of sustain. One more tower shot, some creeps. Not quite there. String the Best will eventually fall to the Winions. They will get their man.
Yeah, and it's going to be even trades across the board from both of these teams. Support for AD and jungle for jungle. Overall, UCD going to be happier with that play as Graves gets that top lane tower, and Jin in the bot side gets to, first of all, get this tower and allow a few of the CS to die, stopping the Vayne from having as much gold.
Denial on that one is Joji quietly just going to continue farming up some minions. 0-1 and 0 on the scoreline. Not quite as involved as you'd like to be into something like a Galio. Hopefully he's able to get a little bit more active once Zerkers are completed, but for now, a suspiciously quiet series from the mid laner of QUB.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I was quite surprised about, because QUB's mid laner is someone who's known for picking some more unique champions like the Katarina. I was expecting maybe some more excitement. Yone, more of that path, but hasn't been able to do anything. We mentioned the Bork beforehand. Before that, Galio can mostly hold his own against the Yone, sometimes win early into the game. However, afterwards, on the side lane, that's when Yone starts to thrive. He can look for the 1v1, can get that prio as well, and can start trying to take these towers, especially if Galio tries to look for these fights.
So you have this bot lane who are going to continue their staring match in mid as Joe Fish might be looking for something here. Arctic Assault on forwards. Lozy's able to find the sidestep. Why do you ask me doing battle with this Vayne? Q goes astray from Braum, is now String the Best, can't connect to his skill shot. Everyone's lining up and everyone's backing on out. Crimson Chaos doing as best as he can to body block on this one. Braum unbreakable potential, but here comes the lineup with the ultimate from this mid support combination. Lux is lighting them up left, right, and center. Double kill over to the jungler, and Lozy is making a strong case for the MVP.
Yeah, he's having the game of the season so far, hitting so many double bindings and then getting the final spark. If that didn't hit, QUB would have won the team fight. And with that, they will be able to get themselves a few tower plays in the mid lane and just leave Graves all alone in this top side. And that's the one benefit of having a jungle up top side. They have champions like this Grave in their arsenal, which can deal huge damage against a few champions like Gwen.
Yeah, top lane is just despicable. It's 169 CS. They're up in the top lane to 108. That is just cataclysmic difference in gold income.
Sandbag, if you looked at both of these top laners, who do you think had most of the ganks?
Yeah, it definitely does look like Graves got camped for. Like, you freeze the wave, and then you zone him out, you kill him on a gank, right, 1-3-1 scoreline. No, this is Grave not only independently making leads, but making leads in spite of team impact.
Yeah, especially later on when Kane was able to scale up, he did actually join back, helping Graves not just find that lead, but actually continue it forward into that first objective, that top lane tower, as the Rift Herald will get taken from Sejuani, most likely going to get placed either towards this top lane or mid lane to be able to pick up their first tower. While on the opposite side, UCD being able to pick up their first dragon, and they're in a very good position into this game. And you said before to start believing, I think we're doing more than believing. I think they just are winning. Take a look, that gold lead, 6,000.
6,000 gold lead, right? Drakes are split, and it's kind of what we said of, yeah, the comp is kind of whack in a vacuum, but every one of these matchups is so good, and you're seeing it come to fruition, right? Bot lane, straight up killing enemy bot lane. Top lane, 55 CS difference. You have these lanes that, yeah, they might look a little bit jank one after another, as HES is going to be on a little bit of a collision course with Joe Fish. Hold that Thought Sweeper en route. Do you have the damage out of the needlework? Waiting for the condemn. Vayne picks it up. Shut down. TY very much.
Yeah, but with them bringing all mid lane and top lane members there, you actually have a position for Kayn and Jhin in towards this mid lane to just hit this tower, and they should just be able to fully take it.
Oh, popped up. Does get the long range W for the Kayn. And that's a quick trade on out. Tatsi down through barrier.
And I think this is a perfect example of why you counter pick with Vayne. You can't just randomly pick it in towards the enemy composition when you don't see at least 3 members on the other team. As yes, Vayne is good into Jhin, but it doesn't seem the best in towards the Lux.
No, Lux. It also doesn't hurt when your Lux is connecting everything. Binds are landing, ults are landing. Lozy is just exerting so much pressure on this game.
I don't want to say it, but I feel like Lozy has been single-handedly winning some of these team fights with just those bindings alone.
Bindings, absolutely. As we have level 13 just now dinked for this Yone, who is now going to be the recipient of a full-on combo. Loses about half his HP to the tank Galio, as it will be the ultimate spent. Flash as well committed for the escape. Very expensive exits, but...
And even before that, Grace is going to be in a good position to just keep pushing out this wave. Galley up towards the top side to stop the Gwen. An incredibly good counter matchup.
Graves is going to be picked off. Maybe he can get one back here. Very nice Q3. It is going to be a pair of side lane plays. Sweeper trying to get the wave as quickly as he can. Creeps will eventually be the death of him. Both tops traded off on either side of the map is a little bit of macro miscommunications, perhaps.
Yeah, both teams thinking that they are in a solid position. Gwen not understand that the teleport came through with the Kayn up there. Well, of course, was the top side or bot side. Yone thinking that he was dead. Now Kayn might be overstepping. Plenty of CC here.
Galio, though, he does have the support he needs. Cavalry arrives in Crimson Chaos down. Joefish now will be the one turned on. Laser connecting onto just one this time, as now Totsi's going to be the recipient of that ultimate. Umbral Trespass, String the Best is going to be kiting out as best as he can. Flash, W lands and sustains. This Kayn is vamping like crazy. Double kill to String the Best. And 8-3-3. That's a backbreaking play in mid.
Yeah, and 2 games in a row, UCD jungler showing up. The one game on the Scion being the carry we didn't expect. Second game supporting his team where he needs to be, stopping Sejuani from finding those leads. It feels like these solo laners have just built him up to be an absolute monster. 2 items, 8 kills in the pocket. What can String the Best not do?
He's got, as you highlighted, he's got the support of his team. He can do whatever he pleases. He's got 3, 0, and 14 as the ultimate does go a tiny bit astray for the Graves. He's got 3, 0, and 14 for his carries. Air quote carries. They are playing to support the other players on this one. This is absolutely utility focused for the Mr. Useful. And Wilted Rose is on Galio.
Yeah, and we mentioned this beforehand, how he's been able to just scale into the game. Joe Fish constantly feels like he has to help his team try and make these outplays as Luxo. Just the amount of damage that deals. But this Kayn is able to just do anything he wants. He doesn't ever have to worry about ganking a lane. Gray's got camped and is still winning.
True. Top was the pressure release valve. So yeah, the KDA is not where you want it to be. But at the end of the day, KDA doesn't blow up Nexuses. As we joked about Bousy last game, he's the pressure release valve. It's like, camp me. Sure. We're still getting everything we want on this map. We are approaching 10,000 gold in the difference. Sure. come here, Joe Fish, let my jungler farm. You're going to regret that decision.
We did say at 20 minutes, 1 or 2K gold lead. They're only 3.5 minutes on top of that, and that's 10K. I think they've pretty much succeeded on their task.
I feared they may have accomplished it, as we're going to be going for a little bit of desperation, hitting the Baron. This might be the death of them. Curtain call channeled, and they will be pushed off by that Jhin ultimate. In the meantime, Graves is going to start the Drake on his own. Herald pushing mid. This one's getting a little bit scuffed.
Yeah, and I like the idea from them, thinking that everybody would be on this dragon as Kane.
Ooh, String the best. Kane maybe jumped on here. Sweeper, does he have enough damage to get the burst off? He does indeed. Kane down, no vamping. And now they double it on. Up mid jungle falls. Lozy doesn't have enough on their lonesome. And now potential Baron a little bit more intimidating.
Yeah, Jhin has movement speed with that flash and the cleanse available.
Joe Fish trying to get the item popped on out. Does not connect. Here comes Joji. Ult is available, forcing a flash out of the Jhin, but here comes Lozy. Binding, connecting, dashing forwards. Q3. Glacial Fisher pops up the support. Dead through cleanse, shut down and slain. They get the unofficial ace. QUB chaining plays together.
Yeah, great outplay there from them, knowing that the Kane just overstepped, and we talked about their teamfight composition. Kane, with that death, they lose the Baron, and that gold lead we said UCD has gained themselves has now gone down to only 3,000.
Hold that thought. TP on in, and AGS can be trying to put some damage as he can. Getting that pass back through. 2k HP, keep the jungle out. Red team gets their Baron, and they're not in time. QUB with a huge strike back to cut this gold lead.
Yeah, but they're trying to find this reset. Kane's alive, has the ultimate available.
Arctic Assault doesn't land. String the best is able to walk on in. Here comes the ultimate. Wait, throw it. Diver has it. Killing spree for the Vayne. Doesn't get the vamp. String the best falls without the Umbral Trespass.
Spawn die for the enemy jungler on UCD. And with that, they are in such a terrible position. Now, that lead that they built up, the way they were playing these team fights to make it where they were going to win, even though they had the worst comp. Now they're in a position where, yes, they can still win. But with this Baron in hand, there's a lot of gold standing. Both tier 1s up for both top and bot lane for QUB to pick up.
It's a casting call topside. The audition rolls, and one at a time they walk in, and one at a time they are sent home. We joked about 10k within a minute. They are down to 1. That is a huge swing in momentum of this game.
Yeah, and I thought 3.5 minutes was a lot. Apparently not.
Choji does get himself an ignite out of the enemy top laner flash as well. Nothing more to be had. Graves will live to fight another day, but the end of the line, not quite so scary anymore.
Yeah, not going to be able to find the kill just yet as Gwen towards the top side.
Sweeper does have that stall available, but I think String the Best is likely going to be able to get them 2 ribbons. Gromp is going to be attended here. They do find their mark onto the marksman of all people. Sweeper will eventually be slain, but it's still 80 for topside trade.
Yeah, 2 towers as well in their pocket. They can go for a team fight here. No ultimate available for the Kane. They can easily CC him up, have the attack speed, have the damage on that to beat. But with Galio nearby, you could just see the tension now build up as UCD can't just go where they please.
And look at the top of your screen. 53.3 to 53. We went from 9,000 to 300 in the span of a couple minutes.
Yeah, they built a literal mountain of gold, and it's just completely falling apart. I don't want to be seeing that gold graph at the end of the game if I'm a fan of UCD.
Gold graph is looking like the heartbeat of the UCD players right now, right? Just up and down, up and down. They're looking to wrap this one up nice and tidy, and all of a sudden, QUB feel like they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, with the gold line going dead even, it feels like both teams are flatlining. They're trying to just keep it peaceful, relax, not worry too much in this game. 600 gold between both of them, but it's more important about the items completed. Vayne, 3.5 items, now got the damage to boot, only going for that tankiness, got themselves that chain fest, got themselves that giant's belt as well. Still very much killable if Lux is able to find that combination, but it's finally going to be a lot harder than before.
Yeah, you can't get bound. What, like, doesn't matter if you have a chain vest, giant's belt, whatever. You cannot get bound. You will just die through whatever peel your Braum can provide, even with those utility pickups. However, my eyes are looking to Joji. That is 3 items, Yone. You said Curtain Call and Final Spark make you stand still. It's pretty easy to hit somebody stood still with a Yone ult, and he's now got the damage to make that matter.
Yeah. Now, it depends on how they can find these outplays. And even worse for the side of UCD is they are forced to take these fights because QUB win on both side lanes. Graves doesn't realistically win against the Gwen anymore. You also have as well the Galio who loses against both of them. So now they're just hovering around this objective, waiting for the dragon to spawn, while Gwen is still just on that side lane, clearing away.
Trying to give chase onto this Vayne, who's not the easiest champion in the world to try and pin. Dragon is spawning, but as you highlight, Gwen is loving this stall. The more time that you buy, this isn't even soul, so at the end of the day, you don't even necessarily have to contest this.
Yeah, you can just give it up, just be awkward, force all 5 members to be here.
Haunt spent 2k HP. Jokefish is going to be looking for a smite. Can he find his way on in? The Kane's able to get the smite down on that one, but here comes Tatsi. The Vayne damage. Galio ulting. Joji trying to find the ultimate over the wall and gets stunned up. Locked down, going golden. Wilted Rose is able to stall out on that one. Joefish blocking Crimson Chaos. Galio gets out. This Gwen is wreaking havoc in the base. You must answer this top lane push. Inhib will eventually be knocked down. Soul point secured, but at the cost of your base being cracked.
And more importantly, Flash used on Galio, ultimate as well, and Flash on the Jhin. If they want to try and find a pick, it's going to be even easier as they won't have that outplay potential. So they get themselves another bot lane tower. And that gold lead we said UCD has had since that 10-minute mark has finally gone. Take a look, gold lead only 100 up for QUB, but that just marks the difference that one major play at the top side changed.
That string of plays kicked one after another, and now at 30 minutes, we got parity. QUB have their carries online. This Gwen fully funded. 3 items have been completed. That went from 1 to 3 just in an instant.
Yeah, and Sandbag, I want to say that Baron was a heist, just like Wiggler said in chat for the side of QUB. But that just felt like a solid fight. They've been playing well, QUB scaling into the game. And now I actually think they're in the stronger position. If they have a ordinary team fight where Lux isn't able to find that perfect final spark on towards the Vayne, I think QUB just win here.
But even then, Lozi's impact in this game is slowing down. Supports do not have the income to continue to keep pace with someone like Vayne or Yone or Gwen. Yeah, you have Burst, but you're still sat at 2 items. Everyone else is on 3. You are no longer the bully. You are now the supplementary damage.
Yeah, this game's on the knife edge. Remember, UCD win this. They get to be the champions of the Irish Collegiate Series. They're looking for a pick. They just don't have the damage.
They are working their way through it so far. Joefish down to half HP in the carry, but now they're going to turn their attention on a string the best. 2-man knock up. Do you get the ultimate off this time? Some sustain will come through one way or another. Do you have any more tricks up your sleeve? Flash, auto, doesn't do it. Concussive blows not procced. Here comes the laser. Lozi's able to chunk up the marksman on the other side. Waiting for the Graves rejoin. That's some wilted health bars for the QUB members. Bring the best, able to make it out.
But yet again, another flash had to get used from UCD not to get out. Well, sorry, to get out, not to go in. This means if this Kane tries to go for an outplay again, they're just going to have another problem. One thing that UC's jungler has been having troubles with in this split is a slight overstep. We saw it on the Scion last game. It was so tanky, it didn't matter. But in this game on that Kane, there is outplay potential. With that overstep, QB get themselves that battle.
They simply burn it down. Blue ward too late. Baron secured for the second time. QUB wearing purple, and once again, they're able to walk it out unscathed. QUB's Barons have been snappy.
You got a question, how do they kill this Vayne? The best opportunity is the Kane on top with the Galio ultimate, maybe Graves. Is that realistically enough when they have the Jack show, the Braum, other things to keep them alive like the hill, the barrier? There's plenty of options that UCD need to try and deal with. But QUB, they're holding on strong. They have themselves in a solid position. But I'm mostly looking at this next dragon. Should be up in a couple minutes time. Going to be that soul if UCD pick it up. How are they going to have vision? QUB already setting up for it.
They are indeed waiting for that empowered scuttle to simply wipe the vision available. Lozi's perhaps lurking in this raptor pit. Fishing for whatever you have, those light binding. If you can find Tatsi, Perhaps that is just a kill. The damage of the Jhin and Lux enough, but String the Best is now the one who is tasked with face checking. There ain't no Scion in this game. You have to put your body on the line to go get the vision.
Yeah, and that's the difficult part about having a team comp like this. If you don't find that lead, you don't have anybody who is that major tank.
Sweeper. Do you have an escape route planned? Are they just going to stall it out in the meantime? You don't even need to. That is simply a diversion. Sweeper pulls members and their team collapses. Jhin down. Now Sweeper might be looking for a little bit more damage on himself. 19 to 17. The levels are going to make all the difference. You have to hope. Going golden just a moment too late. Sweeper takes the damage. Base will be cracked in the meantime, but top lane dies 4v5 for 56 seconds.
Yeah, but I think you take that trade as QUB. You have teleport available on your top laner compared to no flash available on this Jhin. This dragon is truly what this game is going to come down to. Because if UCD pick that up, yes, Lux doesn't have as much damage for being support, but that extra damage, that final spark, could be the final spark UCD need to actually win this whole series.
You're going to be jumped on. Going golden. Good stall. 4v5 looking for the reinforcements. Graves en route. Now Joji sidestepping that W. Lozy over the wall. Getting a nice little chip damage onto Joefish. You just have to buy some time. Sweeper does have that TP available, and it will just continue to do some damage in the moment, vamping as best as they can. They're just going to flip this. 13 seconds, no Sweeper, no problem. Keep String the Best out. Condemned to the wall, 1700. Stolen and sold. That is a huge fight from String the Best, who's able to get the fight going. It's up to Toxie to try and turn this one around. Does he have the auto tech damage? Taunted, knocked up, slain, triple kill over the Graves, and UCD on a knife's edge, you say. They bury it directly into QUB's back. That soul secured, and a huge swing in this game.
Yeah, and they find the outplay. Gwen and Sejuani are live. They should be able to hold on, but they have to be careful here.
Joefish flashing, aftershock fading. It's a rampage for the Graves, and the base is broken on the back of this soul. Needlework does connect another bind. Who else but Lozy to find some setup? You still got 20 seconds left on some carries. UCD saw the comeback and slammed the door in their face. That's 35 minutes. That's an ace complete. And UCD are your premier champs.
And Sandbag, they did it in style. They didn't just go through this to say 10k gold lead, we'll finish the game. They wanted to make it tough. Ireland Collegiate Esports Series. That's what we expect. Massive congratulations to them for winning the series. But most importantly, congratulations to QUB, runners up, very strong and so close to getting ourselves that third and final game. It was only that flip. If that flip went the opposite way, they didn't find that soul, they wouldn't have had the damage to kill the Vayne. They would have won that game.
Yeah, you can so easily see a world in which the 50-50 goes the other way, but you live by the sword, you die by the sword. What got them back into that game was the aggressive objective calls, right? Barons that were just hit on spawn, finish it, and run. They hit the Drake on spawn, they can't come up with the smite, soul goes the other way, Vayne gets comboed by the Galio at the very end, and your series ends. And only your series, your season, QUB down. Big congratulations to UCD from 10k up to even and back again. You know, you had to put on a show, and absolutely, are you not entertained?
Yeah, and let's say they physically built the spire. They went up like that, and they came down.
Fire complete, absolutely. But unfortunately, that is going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for joining over the course of this. Another big congratulations to UCD, champs of Premier. But that's going to do it for us for the rest of this season. I've been Sandbag. This has been Zathos. Celtic behind the scenes making it happen. And a huge shout out to the bottom of the screen here. Red Bull, Dogpatch Labs, GG Machines, Play Aid. Everyone behind the scenes to make it happen and keeping us going. I hope you're entertained and have a great rest of your evening. Take care and good night, folks.